A warm welcome to Rahul sir and Abhiruchi ma'am to this forum.
Thank you.
Yeah. So to start, Rahul sir, many parents are unsure about screen time boundaries. So may I ask, how can parents tell the difference between healthy learning screen time and harmful use?
Yeah, thank you for checking that. And I think that's a very important question because I often see a lot of parents asking me, my child is studying YouTube and I'm not sure if he's actually watching something else or learning. I know some of the questions parents tell me is, this person is doing coding work in their laptop, but is it an excuse for more screen time, right? So these are very common thing which happens, and I think screen time itself is not harmful. I think that's one thing I would like to tell parents. It's built for learning and to build one curiosity. And I think if it's used well, one can really do that. And many students, when I speak to them, they tell me that they have got into the habit of multiple windows, and that creates distractions for them because they feel bored reading certain particular thing and they immediately switch on to WhatsApp or go into another channel. I think that's the downside of this, because you're constantly online, and sometimes I've seen kids will watch scores on site, and the research has says that it takes 21 minutes for you to come back to the focus area, right? So it comes as a challenge, and therefore it's very important that the monitoring should happen. The parents cannot just leave it on their own, that okay, we've given them the internet and they will do a wise use of that. No. So I know of many parents who have remote access to their child's mobile as well as laptop. There are a lot of apps and features today available where one can see what are the screens people are going through, what websites they're going through. So it's important that there is a balance and one knows about it. As a parent, you can't just leave it on the individual's discretion. And therefore that open communication is important. You can't enforce rules, but you have to talk about it, because I believe that parent has a right till the age of adult, because they are the guardians and they have to ensure and see where their student is, where their child is actually, what they're watching, what they're not watching. So that balance is very, very important, that they need to communicate that I will monitor it and I have a right to monitor it. And that's one thing I would often say parents should look at. So it's more about curiosity than control, because that's the shift. Because rather than asking why you are on this app, I think very often I see parents reframe that question. And I think that's a great way to reframe, saying, hey, what do you enjoy when you go through this app or you're playing this game? So that suddenly shifts, and the student also feels comfortable having a conversation. And not necessarily all websites are bad. Like, I love one student who's told me that, I enjoy watching Kuz Z. And I was like, what the hell is that? And it's a German word which means in a nutshell. And it's a YouTube channel which has a lot of learnings on life, science, etc. in video format. So the child enjoys watching in a video format, which gives very detailed view in an animation format or in a detailed view, which he may not understand in the classroom. So I thought it's a great website. And therefore, are parents curious to understand what are the current trends, what is happening, what kind of website people should go to and not go to? Do they use their lingos at times? I see some parents are doing their own homework so that they can talk in that language with the students. So the child feels, oh, my mom is as cool as my friend, so I can talk about this game or I can talk about this website which I'm going to more often. So then there is a discussion which is a friendly discussion. So we don't have to be a friend, but we have to demonstrate friendliness. I think that attitude I see very often, we don't see in the parents, and parents with all their pressure. And I can see a lot of us go through so many roles, and it's not easy to play the role of a parenting, right? So the pressures are real for us at work, at home. So how do we balance and how do we deal with our own emotions and not get panic, not get upset very quickly? Because if we try to control and take away take away the rights rather than empowering, I think the child will start becoming more and more negative, and he or she may start lying and may start, hiding things from you. So I think that's one thing you have to be careful. I remember one of the parent, she called me and she said, I just caught my son watching porn, and I was shocked. I really yelled at him. I had no idea how do you deal with it. Now, of course, it's a harmful content, and you need to know how to deal with that. And therefore, sometimes timing is important. You can't react at that spur of the moment. You may have to relax and have conversations subsequently. But a lot of time, I've seen that we don't know how to deal with these surprises, and it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to speak to other parents and share your challenges. Come for forums like this. There's enough and more material available today to see how parents can play an important role. So I would say it's important to sometimes I see you co-watch some of the series or some of the games along with the child. I think that's also shows that you are also interested in this area. So I would say nothing is fully bad and fully good, but we need to have that healthy balance, and we should monitor, is what I would call out. Hope, Nirita, I answered your question.
Yes, that's a really clear
And I
perspective.
don't know if Abhiruchi, you want to add anything?
Yeah, so as you very rightly said, I've also noticed that it's not just the total hours, but also how the time is spent. Our teens' brains, they respond very differently to active creative use versus passive scrolling, we say. So I also feel that even a short, meaningful activity can be more beneficial than hours of mindless screen time. So I believe you have covered Neruti's question, and we were able to provide a meaningful answer here.
Definitely, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am, for making the difference so easy to understand. I'm sure the parents will find that very helpful here. So, building on that, our next concern is digital safety. So, Rahul, sir, can you tell how can parents help keep their children safe online, especially in protecting their child from cyberbullying?
Yeah, and I think I can request teams to just take off the slides. I think that will be helpful so that we can see each other a little much better. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, that is a very important burning issue. And some of the questions I often hear, how do we manage our child if he or she is bullied? Or what if my child is a bully? That also is the case sometimes in the real world. And I remember speaking to a parent, and she told me that she had asked her daughter to keep not not to be on Insta, and she's an eighth grader. And one fine afternoon, and both parents were working, and one fine afternoon, she could see her daughter was showing signs of being irritable, and something you will say, and she'll get irritated. And she asked her, "Hey, what happened?" And her daughter started crying. And through discussion, she realized that she used to like a boy, and the boy started ignoring her. And to show him a lesson, she posted whatever he posted about her in terms of he likes her as well. She posted everything online about him to the school group. And you can imagine how it must be. So she shamed the boy because she felt I wanted to put him in place because he's trying to act smart with me. Now, that was not the right way of doing it, and her parent was not even aware of that. And of course, it didn't snowball into something very serious, luckily. But there was a lot of work the parent had to do with the child, and the child has to, because the communication gap was pretty high. So I remember recently Akshay Kumar, who's the actor, he was part of a conversation with us, Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis. They were talking about a book on cyber warrior. And Akshay Kumar said, my daughter came to me and she said, I'm bullied online. A stranger asked a lot of questions to her and was acting smart. And she immediately blocked him and reported to his dad that this has happened. Right. So how effective is our open communication? Because I love that principle called as BRT rule. The BRT rule is block, report, and talk. So as a child, are you making your child understand that there are good side and the bad side as well, and there are people who might act this way. So it's okay to talk about it, because it's not easy for child to talk about something like this, because there is online bullying also happening and there is offline bullying also is happening. It's we have let's face it. And it's like, for us as parents, it's like a smoke from hidden fire. You cannot see the flames yet, but there are signals. The mood changes, the signs, or the silence after the screen time shows that something is burning. And it's important to have that dialogue, because your job is not to immediately throw water, but find the source calmly. I think that is very important. I think that's where I see a lot of parents struggle. And if we don't look at the obvious changes, I don't think so. Students feel comfortable because they feel judged at home and at school unknowingly. That's not our intention. And I love this statement, which I often tell parents, that we judge ourselves based on our intentions, while people judge us based on our action. And there is always a gap between intention and action. What child see is the action; they don't see the intention behind our action, right? So that communication gap is very, very important. So uh, that surface, the bullying kind of, people hide it, the students hide it in themselves, and it might surface very late in their progressive years. It may not Everything may not be seen very quickly, and then it becomes a scar for many students. So I would say not to overreact, not get upset that this person has done something wrong, or she didn't open up, or he didn't open up, but take steps, whatever is required, because today there are a lot of reporting happens online. It's a crime. One can talk about that freely. So it's no point getting ashamed and shaming ourselves. And sometimes I see parents try to battle on behalf of the student. And that's a no-no as well, because sometimes the students say, I'm going to deal with that bully maybe in the school, but the parents, without his consent or her consent, will march and take charge of that situation, and that may erode a trust between the child and the parent as well. So therefore, we have to train our child to become problem solvers, and we cannot be solving problem for them. So it's okay to discuss the problem, and it's a joint effort. As a family, you need to solve the problem. So his or her role is also equally there. So empowering becomes a very important aspect when it comes to these kind of discussions. Yeah, you can't. We have to make child learn how to deal with crisis. And uh, am I comfortable in dealing with crisis as a parent? I think that's a question you need to ask, because sometimes there is a belief that this happens in everyone else's houses. Bullying may not happen into my house, or it may not reach my home. My child is so nice, or my daughter is so nice. May not be true. May not be true. They may have a poker face and they may not show it, and therefore it's always good to proactively talk about, open dialogue about such a thing exists, and it's perfectly all right, because I am here to help you and support you, and don't hesitate, right? So that with families where there's this kind of open communication and there is a psychological safety, I see those families really do well in terms of openness. But sometimes, as I said, intention and actions are different. Then people may hesitate to share. So I think that's the first win we have to. If the person is talking about it, I think you have to congratulate your child that great that you've expressed this. It's very courageous of you to express it. 90% of the students will not express it. I really appreciate that's your first reaction rather than the, how dare you did this, or why didn't you tell me earlier, all those questions. So I think these reactions is what we need to help ourselves and manage ourselves.
Looking at digital use of a wellness from a wellness angle, Dr. Abhiruchi ma'am, could you please guide us on what are the warning signs that indicate a child's digital usage is becoming harmful to their mental and social development?
Yeah,
Yes.
Rahul, sir, would you like to
Yeah.
add something
Just
that I may have
a
missed?
couple of points on the warning sign. Like one of the things I noticed, I remember a mom was telling me that her son is constantly lazy and he gets tired and sleepy through the day and
Yeah,
not sleeping well. And I asked her to show the general physician as well. And the general physician told her to do a blood test. And they found out there's an iron deficiency. So sometimes these
yeah,
warning signs can be more physical than emotional. Not necessarily every time the
yeah,
signs are emotional, right? So that's one thing we have to always be conscious of. And as you said, there are subtle signs. Obvious signs we all know, like grades dropping or constant distraction, it becomes quieter, closed doors, maybe lying. You'll see those are obvious one can pick up. But subtle ones like nail biting, or I see no eye contact, skipping eye contact very often. I see that's like I would be conscious of those aspects, and a loss of interest, sudden change, maybe having an appearance obsession, like you said, compulsive behaviors like that also gets developed at times, hiding information. Yeah. And if you ask questions, the person is not answering straight. So we may have to look at patterns. Not one item can be saying, oh, I have a warning signal. Because I remember a father, he said, oh, every evening after 8:30, my child goes and he comes with me at 11. This child was in 12th standard. So he asked me, is he taking drugs? I said, what connections are you making? Why are you saying that?
yeah,
No, no, he's every day 2 hours going in the evening, and I think there is something happening. And see, of course, it's so that suspicion is good, but that suspicion turns into panic, and we tend to, confront in a not a subtle way, but a very rude way. Then you're eroding trust. Whatever trust is, and person will stop coming back home. He or she will not like speaking to you, and that's the biggest disconnect you ever had. Because if a person in the house is not having a conversation with you, it's a very difficult repair, and to repair trust, it takes a long time. Like, so I would say one has to be just careful of noticing a pattern, series of pattern, than just taking one pattern and jumping on it.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am, for outlining those signs so clearly. I believe this will give our parents a solid framework to observe and act quickly if they need it. So back to Rahul, sir. Nowadays, within more educational apps entering children's lives, so what role should AI and educational technology should play in a child's learning, and how much it is too much?
Yeah. Thanks for asking. I think you cannot not have a digital conversation without AI being mentioned, right? So this is such an important topic, and a burning topic at this moment, right? But I think you know AI is a great tool. And I sometimes feel that in many areas, from an educational tech point of view, like I love when one of the student told me, so I was not able to understand thermodynamics. And I asked my chat GPT that give me an analogy to understand thermodynamics with cricket. So take cricket as an analogy and help me understand thermodynamics. And I'm so clear. of that topic of thermodynamics because I could relate to the entire cricket example. So it was so amazing. It was heartening to see that how this has become a aid for student, like a personal tutor. If he doesn't understand chemistry, what can he do to add some aspects and learn something? I know my niece, she's a good writer and she writes her own post and own point of view, puts it into article in original form, and then ask AI, hey, pick gaps for me. What are the gap areas? What are the areas I should improve on in recreating such a draft, right? So she is learning. So it's adding to her curiosity rather than building a lazy mind, right? And I think that is what we have to check with our child's learning. Is this being used? Because AI is definitely a boon, and I think you would agree, no technology or no tech comfort comes without ill effects. We started with TV, and you see so much today with the ill effects of TV, the mobile and the laptop. I mean, every technology, it creates some comfort, and after sometimes it creates more discomfort than the comfort if you use it in the extreme mode, right? So that is, and I love this analogy of in recipe book. If you notice that one item ingredients is never mentioned, and I'm sure you can guess this, and the name is salt. It says as per taste. So I would say AI is that if you put in more, it will spoil our brain, just like how it spoils the taste of the food. And if you put less, you will not get the best of that recipe which you have made, which means you're not using something very important, which is available as an access for students' help and support. So I would request parents that, hey, you should be using this medium yourself, and ask students that how are they using it. Check with them. Hey, what do you do with the latest tool like Gemini? How are you using it? So you may be curious by asking those questions. I know of a parent who asked her kid, like after every project or assignment she may have used AI for, she would ask her, hey, how did AI help you? What elements you took from it? What you created on your own? Right. So that really helped her, the daughter, to understand, okay, my mom is also interested and she's also conscious that how much she should use. Sometimes as a parent, I have seen one dad tell how I use it for my work, and I'm not using it to think for me, but I'm using it as an ally and a support. So he gives example of that. He gave an example of that to his son. And that's such a good conversation to open up, not just saying, hey, you have to be careful with AI. AI can be very depending, it will make you a lazy brain. You can go on and on. Yeah? So I think AI is a direction tool, then a destination tool. Just like we had Calci, the Calci is doing a task. They're not thinking for us, right? The same thing I would say for AI. So treat it like that rather than, and be watchful.
As the boundaries we should keep in mind, especially for parents. Now, reducing screen time can lead to daily pushbacks at home. Abhiruchi ma'am, could you please guide us on how can parents reduce screen time without daily conflicts, especially when it's needed for schoolwork, as you have more experience with it?
And just to add to this, Abhiruchi, I think I have also seen that parents' role is to create boundaries as well.
Yeah,
And I think there is importance of boundaries, but I often see the boundary creation work. It is should be a joint work, like and it cannot change as per your moods. So imagine a
yeah,
traffic
correct.
police guy. He If he's moody, he's gonna ask you for double fine, or if he's happy, then he will not charge you fine at all, right? So that doesn't work. If you've broken a law, you have to follow the rules. So the rules has to be a joint conversation, that what are the rules of the game, how much is too much, and how much digital time you need to have. I think that, and then enforce it. If you're feeling happy, then I've seen parents will say, oh, okay, don't worry, the consequence is not today, maybe next time, but be careful. That doesn't work. Then the child start taking you for granted. So we have to have soft parent and tough parent. And I think it's important. Like the good cop, bad cop doesn't work, because you can't have good cop as mom is a good cop and dad is like
Yes.
individually, both parent has to demonstrate that good cop, bad cop in one parent herself or himself. So that I would say, I think parenting is like an art and science. There is a science side of it, but there's an art as well. So like it's like flying a kite. You can't hold it too tight at the same time lose it, right? You have to guide the kite and it will fly on its own. I think that I for me would be very, very important. And we have to be okay sometimes with these conflicts. It's important. Conflict is not bad, but conflict leading to dispute is bad. So differences will happen and should happen, and we need to come up with a policy and a process through that differentiation. So I would call out.
Yes, so inclusion and collaboration strategies sound both thoughtful and realistic. So I hope parents would definitely include this practice in their daily schedule. Also, some of our parents are trying to put their questions in chat. As mentioned earlier, please put your questions in Q&A session the section that you can see on your screen, on the Zoom options that you can see in the bottom at the bottom. So please put your questions there. And the next concerns raised by our parents. This is for you, Rahul sir. The many parents struggle to set boundaries when they themselves are constantly using the device. Now, how can families create a balanced digital environment when parents themselves are a heavy device user? It mostly happens for parents who are working with the devices, right? Their whole work depends on the device. So, how can we tackle this?
I'll give you an example of one of the father. He realized this later, but he was driving with his son, and somebody cut him off on the lane. And the father got damn upset. He immediately abused him and said he realized his son is sitting with him. And I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, but I was upset." And few days later, the same kid at the recess time, someone else brushed him in the recess time, and instantly the child used the same words which father used few days ago. Unknowingly, unconsciously, that word blurted out of his mouth, of that curse language. So so you need to understand that we are like a mirror in many ways, and what kind of mirror you want to be. And that becomes a very important thing, because people are watching. You cannot not communicate. You're communicating while you're not even communicating. So that's the challenge of parenting. So I've seen a lot of parents role model it. It's more about be not catching them. Like it's more is the better is to teaching than catching, right? So rather than catching them, oh, I've got you. So create no phone zone, as Abhiruchi mentioned earlier, and show how you manage your urge. Because there is an urge for you also. There's a ping happening, and I'm sure you're sitting as a family dinner, and you may role model by saying, "Hey, there's a ping happening. I'm getting the urge," like a father telling a son that I'm getting urge, but I'm not going to pick up because I'm going to finish this food till the time I pick up, because in the dinner table we have. But if he does that, then obviously the son or the daughter will say, "Oh, it's perfectly okay to do that." So not just role modeling, but talking about that. What am I doing? I'm also going through. Like in car, there was this daughter, there's this mother who said, I feel like honking, but I'm not, because I'm waiting. I'm managing my urge. So we need to demonstrate how, and it's very difficult to manage urge, because there is an urge. Like I know adults says, if we are scrolling on Insta, we get consumed with Insta. So it's a consumption. It just gets you into that zone, right? So help them teach habits like do nothing. At particular time of the day, you should all do nothing. There's no nothing, no purposefulness activity at times you should get into. Like I think Abhiruchi mentioned of going for a walk or doing some noble silence is another act. I know one family, that 15 minutes of noble silence when nobody will talk, nobody will watch the phone, nobody. So it's so beautiful, right? You're just thinking about what gratitudes you have. You're just showcasing your gratitude in your head, right? So there are ways to do it. It's important that we bring that into surface. Otherwise, people will keep questioning you that aap to nahi karte, you to don't do it. then why are you expecting us to do it, right? So that's very normal family issue, which we have seen.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. I
Uh,
think I know we're at the top of the hour. I just wanted to add last bit from my end, and then Niriti, I'm sure there are questions which are coming on. And I would say, imagine your child digital world as a garden, and the soil is their mind, right? Fertile but sensitive. And apps and devices are like sunlight and rain needed for growth, but too much burns can impact the root, right? And you will have to be careful of the weeds, because weeds are the harmful content, the bullying, the comparison, the overuse. They need to be quietly noticed and taken care of, because I would say parents are like gardeners, where you're not pulling every leaf, but your role is to nurture, prune, and guide sunlight. And when you water with, trust, when you shade with love and empathy, with certain boundaries of love, the actual garden actually will flourish. So I would say, parents, you can't control the weather, but you can shape the garden. And a safe gardener raises a smart plant. So I would say that's what I wanted to end by sharing this quick acronym, SAFE, which is for parents. Can you create set safe boundaries, which we talked about by S. A is act as a model. F is make that connection as your focus, and empower. Don't just take over, but make a joint conversation. And then if you do this, of course, you have a responsibility. Your teenager has responsibility, and you have to help them become smart. So you talk about that they are smart. Can they be online smart? So be strong online, tell them about it, show them the importance of staying kind to be online. You can't bully others nor accept bullying. Manage time. You have other tasks and responsibilities as well. And it's okay to ask for help. Communicate to your child that he's perfectly all right. I ask for help for so many times because I'm not perfect. So the world is imperfect. And tell them that recognize red flags in terms of friends, in terms of boundaries for themselves, and tell them to think before they post. Not everything should be posted. So be conscious of that. So I would say this will really create that support of connection, trust, balance with communication. So that's what I would call out.